Was that my recognition? Okay, Ms. Porter. All right. Mr. Lohmeyer, do you agree with President Trump's Executive Order 9981?
Well,
excuse me, President, I'm so sorry.
Let
me start again.
What you mean. I don't know.
Let me start again.
Executive orders by number.
Do you agree with President Truman's order that integrated the armed services, despite the fact that separate but equal was still the law of the land at the time?
Let me say that this is an important point. The congressman to your left has said he wanted to find common ground. There's a lot of what the general has said today that I don't disagree with whatsoever, but that seems to me irrelevant to the discussion of progressivism as an ideology in the military workplace. Let me point out one example in answer to your question of what I am opposed to. Reintroduction of segregation.
We're claiming my time, Mr. Lohmeyer. We're claiming my time.
Consequence.
Mr. Chair, it's my time.
Of DEI initiatives. We've got
Mr. Chair, I'd like to reclaim my time.
Segregation because of DEI, and I'm happy to talk to that.
Mr. Lohmeyer, I'm going to try again. Do you agree? I appreciate that you have opinions and you're entitled to have them, but I'd like you to try to answer the question I'm asking with respect, sir. Do you agree with President Truman's Executive Order 9981 that integrated the armed services despite the fact that separate but equal was still the law of the land at the time?
I agree that the military has led the way in integration and unity, which has been the strength of the United States military, but we're undoing it all with diversity, equity, and
reclaiming my time. That decision was progressive at the time. In other words, the military went to a place of integration and efforts to have black and white soldiers working alongside each other. It wasn't always perfect, it wasn't always easy, but it was literally the definition of progress and progressive. It went beyond existing law. General, did Truman's actions to integrate the military under EO 9981 lead directly to any readiness deficits? You're a military historian.
No, in fact, the first thing it did, Congresswoman, was integrate Arlington National Cemetery.
Mr. Lohmeyer, you were in active duty, and thank you for your service, Air Force officer in 2010. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Were there any big problems in military readiness in 2010?
As a young flyer, I never paid attention to what you folks were doing. I never paid attention to reports on readiness lethality. I simply focused on a mission. It was learning how to fly an aircraft, and at that time, it was training our allied partners and foreign military pilots how to fly jets.
Well, I'm glad, Mr. Lohmeyer, that you were able to focus on your military duties. And it seems to me that your own testimony here is a really good example of the fact that the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell did not cause a disruption in your ability or the military readiness of the Air Force to do its job. General, is there any empirical evidence that gay Americans serving openly has hurt military readiness?
No.
So historically, when the military has been progressive, has gone beyond where other policies may be, has tried to encourage diversity or welcome people to be diverse and to learn about each other, there has been no harm to force readiness. General, could one consider President Truman's executive action a diversity initiative? Right, General Truman's, why am I having so much trouble with this? General, could one consider President Truman's executive action a diversity initiative?
Yes.
How about the 2010 repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Yes.
So in your view, should the military roll back those diversity policies?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Thibault, do you think the military should roll back those initiatives?
No, Congresswoman, I don't, because the integration of the armed forces in 1948 was a recognition that the military is different from society, and so it should march to the beat of a different drum. And that's why I think it was such a good policy, because it ensured that we had the best. That things changed in 1960 when the military became a beacon for affirmative action and quotas. But I agree with you that it was good policy in 1948.
Okay. And do you have would you repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
No, because it's a means by which the military attracts the best talent. But what I would object to is if the military had a quota for LGBT Americans.
Do they?
On the books. Not that I know of, but they do for Black, white, Hispanic Americans, and I think those are...
General, is that correct? I'm not aware. My brother served. He went to the United States Naval Academy. He served 5 years. He served on a nuclear submarine. I don't recall him ever enforcing, being part of, as an officer, any type of quota system.
There are no quota systems, Congresswoman.
I don't recall that being U.S. military policy. I don't remember ever passing a law, since we're in Congress and we make the rules. I don't remember ever passing a law with regard to that. Our military is more effective when it's diverse, and you can't have an effective, diverse team without teaching people how to work effectively together. That's what these initiatives should focus on. I yield back.